So after the 6 weeks, I went to my mission, long plane ride. Not as long from Mexico, but it was still like a good, at least from Utah to here, it's like a good 6 to 8 hours in flying. But as soon as I stepped out of the plane, it was just this rush of humid heat. Like I thought I had felt hot before, but I had never felt this kind of heat before. So that was a big experience, because right stepping out of the airplane, I was already sweating. Meeting the mission president, so he's actually from Utah. So that was that helped too. Having a mission president spoke your own language, even though the primary language in this mission is Spanish. At least most of the time, I could express my frustrations or anything about the mission to him in English, and he'd understand. Getting all together, getting all the training right before we received our first companions was fun. I had there were 4 of us all together, so 3 other missionaries that were part of my MTC district. They were there too, so it was nice to still have some familiarity, because like everything was so alien to me. But once I got through all the training, just all the mission rules, like what to expect in the mission, all that kind of stuff. Then the next day I was able to receive my companion, and that was when everybody came in for transfers. Everybody got their new companions, and how they did it was they'd have a projector, and they'd show each missionary their picture on the projector, and they'd assign the companion to that person. And so I ended up getting a companion. He was from the Dominican Republic, and didn't speak a lick of English. That's one way of getting immersed into the culture and learning the language. So having my trainer, so that's my trainer, it was fun at first, but me and him had our problems kind of thing, so it ended up being kind of difficult. So the first 6 weeks, I had him as a companion. I didn't see that missionary work would be very fun, just how he trained me, and in that way it didn't seem as fun as I thought it would be. Knowing the language was really hard. Communicating myself to my companion was really hard. Language-wise, that was the best way to really learn the language as fast as you could. So like I said, me and my companion, yeah, we had problems. I think what we lacked in our companionship was charity the most. So my companion was really hardworking. Like I'll give him that. But me being from Utah, being in the colder climate, and not in such as the humid climate, I wasn't as acclimated to the environment as he was. Being from the Dominican Republic, he knew this kind of heat and stuff. And so my companion, his thoughts were if we weren't in a hurry, we weren't doing our job right. And so he would walk like 10 miles an hour, I swear. And it was like almost impossible keeping up with him. And being in a third world country, you had to carry everything with you. So you had like 5 Books of Mormon in your backpack, and like a whole bunch of pamphlets. And in that time in my mission, they were trying to get away from the backpacks and more of the side bags. So having even the side bag was pretty rough walking around with it. So I would never be next to him, and I'd always constantly be behind him. And so every time he saw me, he could see how far away I was from him, and he'd get mad at me. And so he'd always have the idea that I wasn't working as hard as I should have, and there was some kind of problem spiritually or mentally going on in me that was making me not a hard worker. And so I couldn't really vent my frustrations towards him because we had that language barrier. I felt like he was constantly judging me in a way that would degrade me in a way to where I felt like I actually was a really bad missionary and I wasn't doing my job, and no matter how hard I tried, it wasn't good enough. And so I was having a really hard time during those moments, and I could still remember, the first bus ride down to my first area. My first area was La Union. It's actually the hottest part of El Salvador. So it's as far south as you can go, and it's right next to the ocean. So it's really hot and humid. We're not allowed to go to the beach. I still remember moments where late at night, I'd just lay awake at night, and I'd wait for my companion to be asleep, and I would stand up and go out of the room, and I would go into the other room to where he wouldn't hear me, and I would just get on my knees and I would pray, and I would just cry, just with how hard of a time I was having. It was hard to communicate with people. It was so new to me. I'd always try my hardest, and yet I felt like it wasn't enough. I'd always ask God for help, and in a way He did. He helped me in more ways than I thought He could. So a couple months, I wouldn't say a couple months, maybe 3 weeks into being there and getting trained, I got sick. I don't know what it was, but I don't know what it was at the time, but I got an infection in my eye. I don't know how it happened, how it could be, but it would make it to where I could not go outside. I'd get a crazy bad migraine. And how bright it was there, and it was always sunny. By the time when I got there, it was just the beginning of dry season. And so there was no rain. And so I hadn't seen rain in a while. So there was never any clouds. It was always bright. And so I'd always I'd have to stay inside when I was sick. And so I called up the nurse. She'd tell me, okay, you need to get this. And I'd use the medicine that she gave me, and I'd put it in my eye, and it made my eyesight go away. So like my eyesight was terrible. I couldn't see my right eye, and I could barely go outside. And so I got permission to wear my sunglasses. I brought sunglasses, thankfully, on my mission. I was able to wear sunglasses when we went out and proselyted, so that helped a lot. But after about a week or two, I got back to normal. I got better, and my infection went away. I didn't think much of it until later.